Hi, I'm Alana. Welcome to another video. In today's video we are doing a get ready with me for church. So, did you know that it's going to be 30 degrees every day this week? Isn't that exciting? So, as you can see, I am back home, and actually let me see if I can get the man everyone has been waiting for. Hey baby, did you want to say hello to all of your fans? Yeah? They missed you. You want to say hello to all of your fans? And there we are. Because I know that everyone has been demanding handsome for a long while, so there he is, the man himself. And so, what else do we have today? Alright, so today I'm going to begin with two book recommendations. So this book is called Where I Slept by Libby Angel, and it's about a girl who is homeless in Melbourne in the 90s. And so it's set in Melbourne, and she's just like living in kind of like squatting in houses, like in abandoned houses, and there are a lot of like drugs, like a lot of, shooting up heroin and other kinds of things, as you can imagine homeless people would probably do. And so she meets a lot of colourful characters, and it's all very it's all just her like being homeless in Melbourne in the 1990s. And I love books that are set in Melbourne because like I live in Melbourne, so I can picture where everything is and really like imagine the scene. So that was a really good book, Where I Slept by Libby Angel. And then the second book that I want to recommend today is called Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. So this book is about a girl who has an eating disorder, and she meets this other girl who works in a frozen yogurt store. And so the girl who has the eating disorder is all like obsessed with counting calories and obsessed with trying to, eat as little as possible. And then she meets this girl who works in a frozen yogurt shop, and the girl who works in the frozen yogurt store is like quite fat, and she becomes friends with her. And so this fat girl is, she's eating the frozen yogurt like with reckless abandon. She's just eating however much she wants. And then they go out to dinner and stuff, and the girl with the eating disorder is like, oh my gosh, like I'm so, nervous and I don't want to eat anything. And the fat girl is just like indulging in as much food as possible. And then she begins a sexual relationship with the fat girl. So the girl with the eating disorder begins a sexual relationship with the fat girl, and it's a really good book. It's very hot. And so that is Milk Fed by Melissa Broder. Oh, okay, so as far as Soft White Underbelly interviews go, last night I listened to an interview with a man called Matthew Cox. And so Matthew Cox is a con man, and I've actually listened to an interview with him before on Lex Fridman's podcast, on the Lex Fridman podcast. So I thought like I don't need to listen to this interview with Matthew Cox on Soft White Underbelly because I've already heard his interview on the Lex Fridman podcast. But then I was like, well, I may as well. Like, it has over 2 million views, so it must be a pretty good episode. And so I listened to the interview with Matthew Cox on Soft White Underbelly, having already heard his story. And like, so this man, Matthew Cox, he's like, he's a con man. And so he basically spent his whole life like scamming and conning people. And he is also known as the man who gave me a tummy ache, because when I listened to his interview on the Lex Fridman podcast. So he had like a 6-hour long interview on the Lex Fridman podcast, and this man was so evil that he gave me a tummy ache like listening to his story, because it's just filled with just lying and scamming and cheating, and that's his whole story. So listening to the 6-hour long interview with Lex Fridman gave me a tummy ache for that reason, because there's just so much like evil, so much darkness in him. And he's not as evil as, you know, some of the most evil people in the world, but he is a scumbag and a liar and a cheater and a con artist. But having said that, he's also a very interesting character. Like, he kind of like feigns self-awareness. Like, he refers to himself as a scumbag, and he kind of feigns self-awareness. Like, he's a narcissist and a con artist, and he's cheated so many people and like scammed so many people, and he's a liar, habitual liar. But when he tells his story, he tells it with a kind of like false charm and a feigned sort of self-awareness, where like you can't really criticize him because he's calling himself a scumbag. And so yeah, that makes his interviews really interesting, and he's a very interesting character, very interesting case study if nothing else, just because like, how did someone end up like that? Like, why did you choose that path? And like, plenty of people have had the same upbringing that he has and have not become like career criminals and like such dirty liars and con artists. But Matthew Cox, is a particularly interesting character for that reason, because he presents as so like charming and eloquent and put together. And so that will be all for today. Thank you for watching this video. You're beautiful, you're perfect, I love you, God bless you. If you're new, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.